At 5:34, we'll call the meeting to order. If you would join us for invocation and flag salute.
Let's pray. Lord, we come to you thanking you for this opportunity to come together to improve our community. Please bless our citizens and city leadership and give this committee guidance and understanding in all matters discussed. In your name, amen.
Would you please stand for the salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If the clerk would call roll, please.
Thomas Newsom. Whitney Kerr. Here. Clint Horner.
Here.
Shane Knight.
Here.
Drew Jackson.
Here. First order of business consent items is approval of February 6, 2024 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll make second.
Have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Whitney Kerr.
Aye.
Clint Horner.
Aye.
Shane Knight.
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye. 1B is consider the adoption of an updated signed ordinance. If I'd like to make a motion that we remove that from consent items and discuss that at the end of the agenda.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Call for a vote.
Whitney Kerr.
Aye.
Clint Horner.
Aye.
Shane Knight.
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye. Moving on to the public hearing section. PC 2024-3, consider approval of final plat request by Dell Goad Construction, Inc. for 49th and south of Railroad. Reed, what do you got for us?
Yeah. So I know y'all have seen this proposed plat several times, but generally just, again, summary. On 49th, 8 acres, roughly, light industrial zoning. Mr. Goad is wanting to put the first several phases of lots for industrial, starting with 8 and then eventually I think 16. The preliminary plat has been approved. Since then, in the last city council meeting, he was asked to get an easement from his southern property, giving emergency access all the way from Main to the current easement on the property. And he's done that. There's a form in there that shows the easement. And then just, I know we discussed previously, but several variances that we discussed, but were still approved. That commercial easements are usually 80, but it was approved by the city council to be 50. And then the cul-de-sac has the availability on the plat to be 120. It was approved to be 96 by the fire marshal. And then fire hydrant locations are 300 feet apart. It says in my notes that it's per rural water 2, but it's really per the fire marshal, so there's a mistake. And yeah, I don't think there's much else to discuss, but Dale, do you want to say anything?
I guess only if you have questions. I've got a larger scale plat if you need to see anything, and I've highlighted on there where the easement you got will tie into the property if you care to see that, and also a Google Earth of it, same thing. But if you don't have any questions, I won't bore you with it.
I think the only question that I have is, other than the addition of the easement, were there any changes from the preliminary?
No, sir. The preliminary already had that 120 that Reed referenced, so we're good to go. We have more than enough room for the cul-de-sac to meet the fire marshal's requirements. So everything else should be as it was, with the exception of showing this easement on there.
Very good. Appreciate you doing that.
Okay, no worries.
You guys have any questions?
I just have one comment. This is just for the record. On our summary sheet, it says current zoning is A1, but it's actually I1.
That was changed.
So I just wanted to note that.
Thanks. Any other questions? Any discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Whitney Kerr,
Aye.
Clint Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye. Thank you. 4B, PC 2024-6, consider approval of rezone request by Monica Uber for property located at 711 Blanchard. Mr. Reed.
Yeah, so this property is right near the intersection of 9th and Blanchard. Current zoning is C2. Mrs. Uber is looking for a rezone to R2 to build duplexes. That's the intention. The current zoning around it is C2 due to 9th. A lot of main thoroughfares have that C2 highway commercial to it, and she's requesting that rezone again for the R2. The justification for the zoning change, at least for the staff, is that there are residential zones just across the street, kind of a little catty corner adjacent. And the uses, although zone C2, there are a lot of duplex uses adjacent to the east of the property. So the only other comments that the staff had was that anyone building there would have to extend the sewer from the subdivision down the street. So I know this is, again, not exactly adjacent, but staff.
And the applicant was made aware of that?
I don't know. I'd have to check with that.
Okay.
Yeah. That was last week at this staff meeting. So yeah, again, we would recommend the approval of the rezone. Any questions?
How far would be the closest R2 to this property?
I don't know the exact distance, but it's literally like across the street adjacent. And the subdivision is called Stonebrook Circle.
Stonebrook Circle is R2.
Yeah, it's R2 or R1. Okay.
I say that. I'm going off of the colors on the page.
Okay.
It's a little hard to tell the difference between R2 and R1, but
Yeah.
I can possibly get on the website and verify.
Okay.
are you familiar with that spot?
Me?
Clint?
Yeah, if you
It's a-
I'm familiar with it, yes, I just didn't know what the zoning was.
Yeah, to me, looking at this looks like one of those, the city did some blanket zoning back in the day in this little residential area that's been there for, I would say, 100 years. I mean, the houses are pretty old right there on Blanchard. I would say it got caught in the blanket.
Yeah, those east parcels are all residential.
And I did some measuring too. It looks like from South 9th to the northwest corner of that property that we're looking at is about 250 feet. So it's still a pretty good setback, in my opinion, for commercial to be along 9th there. Blanchard and 9th.
The only thing that would affect that 250 feet is if there was eminent domain or the road was expanded. That would obviously decrease that a little, but
map doesn't indicate. Was that done as a PUD by chance?
Say that again, Drew?
Was Stonebrook done as a PUD by chance? The map is not indicating.
I don't know. Okay. I'm sorry, I wish I'd put that in my notes. I just said residential in nature, but didn't specify, so I apologize.
So, just, is the applicant here? Would they like to speak?
Not here.
Is there anyone for or against who would like to speak? Just as a part of a discussion, I personally don't have any issue with there being R2 there. I just want to make sure that we're clear of any spot zoning. If anybody would like to look at the screen of what I pulled up on the zoning map, you're welcome to. It looks to be surrounded by commercial, minus the Stonebrook addition, which is unclear. If you look at the parcel north of Stonebrook is R1. If you look east, on the other side of the commercial is R2.
Okay.
Something that might be helpful as far as providing the context of these in our packet is if we can zoom out a little bit on that zoning map so we can see a
Zoning
little
it.
further out.
Okay. Yep.
Whitney, do you have any thoughts on spot zoning for this?
No, I mean, that's my concern, is that we've got this one chunk of property right in the middle of everything else commercial, and it's not really, it's not consistent with our future land use map either, so, I mean, that's my only problem with it. And I will say, given what's there right now, it's very much in character with what's in the neighborhood. It's just not in character with what's on the zoning map.
Shane, Clint, you guys have any comments?
I was just curious about spot zoning. I don't have an issue with the project. I just was curious if we're doing spot zoning.
I have the same concern. I just, you know, from what I could find on this, it just looks like it was covered in some blanket at some point. I mean, the newer little residential neighborhood there, Stonebrook to the north. I mean, I'm assuming that recently was changed to R1 or R2, whatever that is, judging by what's surrounding. And everything that's existing on that street is residential. So I don't have a problem with it, just because I think it's just a recent overlay.
So I'm clicking on the area. So one, I've got an older map. I think we've had some issues with the zoning map, and so the one that I have, you know, may not be the most current, but clicking on it, it's labeled the Stonebrook as R2.
It is R2.
That's what it's labeled on the map I have.
Yeah.
So let me ask one more question, and I kind of overlooked this, but so there's currently a note that the current sewer capacity is not sufficient, but the idea is you could expand or extend it from the current Stonebrook Circle. But my
Yes.
question is, if we keep going up 9th Street and we get as far as, I can't remember the name of that bridge that the trucks get stuck over, but if we go up that far through that whole area, there's currently issues with the sewer system and whether or not that's meeting capacity. So if we're further expanding in this area and trying to tie it into Stonebrook, are we gonna cause any issues to the infrastructure even further down the line?
That's a good question. That might be a public works question, but I was told that it would be sufficient to service that lot, and there's only several other lots that could be serviced with it, so, at least in that area, so.
You mentioned them needing to bring sewer service to that lot. I'm guessing that's because there's a septic system there now.
Yeah.
Do you know if they're building one duplex here or multiple?
One.
Just
Yeah.
one?
Mhm.
Given that particular plot size, is that all they can build on that?
So the minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet for R2, and so they could technically do several. But all I've heard, or all that I'm aware of, is one duplex. They haven't heard any plans of replatting. I haven't heard any of that, so.
So what was the lot size?
It's about an acre, about a 200 by 200 square, and then minimum lot size for R2 is 6,000.
For single family, right? Any other comments? You were thinking about it. Do we have a motion? I did.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Whitney Kerr,
Aye.
Clint Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
No. 4C, PC 2024-7, consider approval of final plat request for Sunstar LLC for property located near Larkspur Lane. Reed?
Yes, sir. So this is a property that's right north of the Heritage neighborhood along Larkspur. The zoning is R1. It's in line with a lot of the uses and the zoning in the area. There is agricultural zoning to the west. The property is about 36 acres. And this is a final plat, so the preliminary has been approved previously. The developer has done, in their plat, has done a good job with meeting the minimum lot standards, the minimum ROW for residential, utility easements, sidewalks. I did say streetlights. I want to double check that. And then a 5% requirement of landscaping. So, and one other comment, which is posted on here, it's kind of hard to read. I think there's another attachment somewhere, but we had one neighbor that reached out and just expressed their concern over the traffic and the traffic that this would bring along Larkspur. I think it's a neighbor, just one neighborhood over to the east that has to connect through. So That's just something to consider. And staff would recommend approval.
Any questions for staff?
Is there any changes that's occurred since the preliminary?
I don't think so. The developer is here. Any changes? Okay, no.
Any other questions? Would the applicant like to speak?
I'll let Pat too. I've listened to voice.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Whitney Kerr,
Aye.
Clint Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye. 4D, PC 2024-8, consider approval of rezone request by Kane Smith for property located at Rodeo Road.
So this one is just east of a new neighborhood on Rodeo Road, and then along Highway 70 to the kind of the northwest corner of the property. So there's lots of different little zones and uses in that area: agricultural, highway, commercial, C2, and then just adjacent to the west is R1. This is very much in projected land use, future land use plans for this area. It's a 47-acre parcel. Again, just a rezone, so rezone from A1 to R1. The staff recommends this rezone and sees it as very much in line with future land use and the area itself. Several other staff comments was that there's limited water capacity in that area, and then there's actually a sewer on the sewer access on the northeast corner. Yeah, generally the developer has expressed plans to subdivide that parcel in the future, but nothing concrete yet. So we would recommend approval of this rezone.
Any questions for staff? Would the applicant like to speak?
Excuse me.
If you don't mind, if you would come to the mic and state your name for us.
I don't really have anything to say, just that, just trying to get, rezone to that, build single-family homes, and, always take into consideration the creek lines and leave as much as possible, for that. But, again, I don't have like the subdivision plats yet, I plan to originally just start building off of, Rodeo Road, just at where the utilities are ran there, but,
And for the record, are you Mr. Smith?
yeah, I'm Kane Smith,
All right,
yes.
thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Have any questions for Mr. Smith? Thank you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak for or against? If you would please come to the mic and state your name, please.
Yeah, my name's David Zdrozna. I actually own the property next to the property that we're discussing. I'm not here to speak for or against it, really. I just like to make it known that, and I've talked to Mr. Smith, he seems like a nice guy. When you do get the plans for development, will it go up again for decision at that point? Because the only thing I really talked to Kane about was there's that tree line down through there and that creek, and if it was to get moved or destroyed, I commute back and forth for Dallas every day because I wanted to live in the country, and my country's going to go away. He's assured me that that's not his plan. I just want to make sure that if it does become that, I'd be able to come and maybe it's still up for discussion on those things, because as I discussed with him, I believe it's a Blue Line Creek, which puts it in regulation of the Army Corps, and we do have, I'm sorry for my voice, We do have red-tip hawks that are nesting in that tree line. We've got photo evidence of it and stuff like that. Not that, I don't want you to think we got the pictures because we wanted to come in and fight. We enjoy the nature there. That's why we've taken pictures, is because we love our home. And we just don't want to see it all just disappear. We know that eventually development is going to come. As a matter of fact, that's why I bought my properties, because I figure eventually it'll probably end up doing the same thing. I just wasn't looking for it to happen tomorrow. And I know you can't stop progress and stuff like that. He seems like the kind of guy that is not looking to step on people's toes. He's not looking to ruin people's dreams and plans. I just wanted to make it known that it is a Blue Line Creek to the best of my knowledge on the topo map. And we do have red-tip hawks that are actually nesting, because we've got their yearlings that are hunting in our pasture out there. Like I say, nothing brings me more joy than to see it. I can tell you, last year somebody decided to mow our field for no reason. I got a call when I was in Dallas that we got 3 tractors running up and down our pastures, baling our hay. We had intentionally left those wildflowers because we loved the bees coming in and the birds and all the critters running around. So, like I say, me and my wife both just want to be known that we'd really not to see it get destroyed. Developed, okay, we can't stop that, but just to keep in mind that there are some things that need to be taken into account. And that's really all I had to say. It's the first time I've ever talked in anything like this, so I apologize if I'm rambling. And maybe I hope I didn't forget anything. But just wanted to say that.
To answer your question, so this is a rezone, which is, we're talking about zoning for housing.
Yeah.
He will come back with a plat to be discussed, so we'll see his actual plan for development at that point.
Okay.
So obviously we have a public hearing there, and you're welcome to speak then too.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not up here to start anything.
No, I know that, no.
I couldn't just not say that.
No, I don't. You're fine.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Is there any discussion? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Call for a vote, please.
Whitney Kerr,
Aye.
Clint Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye. 4E, PC 2024-9, consider approval for 6-month extension for Rodeo Hills Phase 2, located near South 9th and Rodeo Road.
So, Sunview, sorry, I was about to say Sunstar, I know we just looked at that, but Sunview Homes, their development is going on right there at that 9th area. The plat was approved and had a specific time to be utilized, and they've had some legal issues with territory and land and who owns what, and so they're naturally asking for an extension to that plat due to the legal issues. So if you look at, I've posted the extension and reinstatement procedure in the notes, and I can read that if y'all want. 60 days prior to or following the lapse of approval for a sketch plat, preliminary plat, or final plat as provided in these regulations, the property owner may petition the Planning Commission and City Council to extend or reinstate the approval. Such petition shall be considered for recommendation at a public meeting of the Planning Commission and shall be considered at City Council. In determining whether to grant such request, the Planning Commission and the City Council shall take into account the reasons for the lapse, the ability of the property owner to comply with any conditions attached to the original approval, and the extent to which newly adopted subdivision regulations shall apply to the plat. The Planning Commission and the City Council shall extend or reinstate the plat or deny the request, in which instance the property owner must submit a new application for approval. And staff would recommend a 6-month extension.
Is that also what was requested, is 6-month, I assume, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding. We've approved a preliminary plat, but not a final plat?
I think it's a final plat.
We have approved a final plat already?
Yeah, so it's, if you look at the second page there's an email. Sunstar LLC is requesting that our final plat be extended for 6 months. So
Maybe just educate me a little bit. Why do we need an extension on a final plat?
You're right. That is confusing. I guess they haven't been approved. I'm sorry.
Oh, I think Jay may have an
think the
answer for
applicant
you.
Yeah,
wanted to-
I'm glad Jay's here.
I think I can answer that for you, Shane. Final plat has been approved, has not been filed
Has not been filed, okay.
due
that's
to
what
the
it's- Okay.
changes of.
Yes,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
total sense. I thought we
Yeah.
had approved it already,
Yeah.
so I was
Yeah,
just
it's
curious.
been an
Okay.
ongoing deal, but we're about to reach an agreement, so.
Okay, perfect.
Jay,
Thank you.
will those 6 months be enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let me ask this. Is there an extension on the extension? So if we get to 6 months and there hasn't been an approval, is there another way to extend this?
I don't know that we have I don't recall any sort of number of
It's
extensions.
hypothetical.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know a positive answer on that, but I don't recall any number of extensions.
I believe there is, and this is partially based off of the Redbud property, but I think there is an extension procedure, and I do think they can ask for another extension, but I think they're limited to maybe 2.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Jay,
Thank you.
just one thing to be
Yeah.
aware of is the extension. So far, when people have asked for an extension, they've also been accepting any ordinance changes
Okay.
that were made in
Yeah.
that meantime. So I'm not aware of any, but that's a possibility.
Have you driven the addition?
I'm sorry?
Have you driven that addition?
Hmm?
You have, okay. You saw we got those sidewalks in?
Hmm.
Okay.
Just an FYI, like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I don't know of any
Yeah.
off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
FYI.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're very close to making
Good.
an agreement.
Good. I know you're ready.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jay.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion to second. Call for a vote, please.
Whitney Kerr,
Aye.
Clint Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye. Moving back to 1B, consider the adoption of an updated sign ordinance. Reed, I believe you have a presentation for that.
Yes. So it's new business. I just got some updates actually this morning. Actually, no, this isn't new business. I'm sorry. We'll talk about new business later. This is, sorry. So just
Yeah,
for
we're
some.
back on sign ordinance.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So originally, several months ago, I'd gone to my staff. I think y'all are well aware that the code is from 1983 and it's been updated, but sometimes there's a lot of gray and it's hard to enforce. So part of my goal was to go to code enforcement and to my team and say, what are the hardest things to enforce? What's the most gray? What's hardest for citizens to read and understand? And they spend a huge amount of time trying to explain temporary and permanent signs. You'd think there'd be bigger fish to fry, but they're constantly, I don't want to say battling, but having discussions with citizens over what's temporary, what's permanent, what can we enforce, what can we check. So this proposed new sign ordinance, if you look at the definitions of temporary and permanent sign, those are really important. They kind of give clarification on what it is, and then you can go down to 158, I think it's not 8 and 11, the temporary sign and the permanent sign areas, and it fleshes it out and gives you a great example of, hey, what's temporary, what's permanent, what can you apply for, super clear. So some other notes is that everything within the old ordinance has been accounted for. The only thing I want to edit is that in the non-conforming sign section, our current code has A 1 through 3 that discusses like the non-conforming signs before 2001, and I would need to add that as an edit to the final approval. So again, I have a red line of the old sign ordinance as needed, but would love to have the conversation, get feedback, and
So you're saying you have an additional edit to make to what's presented?
yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
I just found it before the meeting.
So do we have the old language that needs to be added to this?
Yes. Let me get it. And it's in 158.06, non-conforming signs, and it says, a legal non-conforming sign is a sign which does not conform to each and every applicable provision of the city's signage regulations, but was, and then there are three things that I'd like to add. One, lawfully in existence prior to the passage of Ordinance 1345 as adopted on September 10th, 2001. Lawfully in existence and in use in the city prior to and the time the provisions of the city's signage regulations with which it does not conform became effective. Or 3, a non-conforming sign for which the amortization period has expired. So those are the 3 that are most important, and then the other non-conforming are included in that new code.
So it has to read, since it was a replacement rather than a red line.
Yeah.
I think he's prepared to highlight some of the changes between the old ordinance and the new one. If you guys care to hear that, I think we may have some other comments from committee too. So I'll leave it open to y'all.
Yeah. So I can walk y'all through some of those changes and some of those thoughts on where does this new regulation still satisfy the old.
Before we do, are there any comments or questions?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can probably save a lot of time for you, actually. I think this reads tenfold better than the old one does, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a complete replacement versus a revision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I only got through page 9 and had 29 comments. So I think it's got some misreferences, missing some definitions, that sort of thing. So I think if we, and I can send you these comments. I just got this yesterday, so I didn't have a chance to send it to you, but I can send you all my comments so far.
Okay.
So with that, I would say maybe we table it for him to revise as an option, and bring it back next month. But kudos, because this reads so much easier than the old one does.
Good.
So
yeah.
Thank you for that.
No problem. Yeah, the code enforcement was excited about this, so and I appreciate y'all's feedback and time, and want to keep any conversations going. So
It's been a topic for discussion for a while, so glad to make some progress.
yeah.
Is there any comments on tabling this to next month?
I'm in support of that because I'm trying to read it on an itty bitty screen, and that is a lot of information to. So yeah.
So it seems like future y'all would want paper copies, easier. Perfect. Great.
Are you?
I'll make a motion that we table this till next meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Could you call for a vote, please?
Whitney Kerr,
Aye.
Clint Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye.
I
Moving on.
would say, Reed, if you you might send everybody an email saying, "Hey, get your comments to me by
Okay.
the next 10 days or whatever that is,"
Okay.
and I'll forward you the ones I have already also.
Perfect. Thanks.
Is there new business? You just thought you were done, didn't you?
Yes. Drew has a copy. Again, I started saying it right when we got the sign ordinance, but we just got some information this morning, and just so I'll tell you all the whole story. TSET, Tobacco Settlement Group, they give grants, and we've already gotten, I think we've gotten 120,000 or 100,000 dedicated and used. And each time you go through this process, you have to have your ordinances updated to meet TSET requirements. They went through a whole review of our current ordinances and gave us resolutions and amendments for those changes to get us up to par. I was approached by DSC saying, hey, let's, and Mark's here, but DSC had the idea, let's use this as kind of a match for our 80/20 5th and 6th Street grant that has already been approved to go after from, I think, last month's city council meeting. So the 20,000 could turn into, 100,000. So it's a really, really important, well-utilized grant. It very much goes in line with the grant, like the desires of the grant, healthy living. So that's kind of the goal of getting this grant approved and getting these ordinances updated. And the reason it's new business is because the applications close March 31st. So we need to get these, should we decide to go after them, we need to get them updated and then have it ready by March 31st. So that's the story.
So they need to be approved before then?
Yes. So whether that's today or a special meeting soon to get it ready for council, or there's been, obviously there's urgency and time has been kind of against us, but wanted to get it in front of y'all.
I'm not sure that we're able to consider them today. What's the time frame on a special meeting?
It's not as long, but I mean, you're still gonna have to have a postage period, but yeah, it needs to be a special meeting because we can't do it today. It's
So
not public notice.
we tentatively, I noticed that the additional meetings that we have are not on the agenda again today.
The 26th.
The 26th and the others that we've requested, I noticed that those are not on for approval today.
Okay.
Well, so if it goes through us and we approve it, then it's gonna have to go to city council. When's the next city council meeting?
Next Tuesday.
A week from today. It may be where they'd have to have one as well.
TSET has already submitted their recommendations for ordinance changes.
Yeah, so
So it's just a matter of us getting them and reviewing them.
Well, so all of the documents, and again, didn't have the ability to upload them, but that Drew has, are the uploaded recommended ordinance changes. And then there's some red line stuff in there too, so
Gotcha.
show commentary.
Just for clarity, when he says the ones that Drew has, it's the ones that Drew received just a minute before the
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah, I handed him right before, so.
I've not looked at them. I'm not keeping anything from you.
Notice-wise, I think we're at 48 hours for a special meeting.
Okay.
So as long as there's 48 hours notice, we could theoretically do it.
Okay, awesome.
So does commission want to consider setting a date for a special hearing?
Yeah, I mean, we need to, if we're gonna do it before March 31st and plenty of time for the council, we need to get it locked in.
Well, it's not on the, I'm assuming it's not on council's agenda, or is it?
Not yet, but I know new business can kind of be updated, just like the 5th and 6th Street last month could be updated this week, but.
You meaning on their agenda as new business or as a administrative item?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was administrative last month on city council, but I'm not an expert, so.
So the big issue is you can't, for city council purposes, you can't couch this under new business and do this. Under new business, you're gonna need to put it in as an agenda item and make sure you give notice.
Okay.
So what's the deadline to get it as an agenda item?
Friday? Monday? Friday. So it's close.
Is it tomorrow?
Huh?
What we had talked about before was it was tomorrow to get something on the agenda, is that right?
Yeah, I think there are different times for different things.
Okay.
That was what Public Works said for their turn-in, but I think deadline is Friday.
I don't know that we can have different deadlines.
Okay, yeah, I guess
So
it's Friday.
How long is it gonna take you to do whatever documenting or drafting you need to do to get this ready for our approval and then city's approval?
It's ready.
It's
Yeah,
ready?
the T-set is awesome. They did all the, and then DSC has helped a lot too, so.
Any suggestions on meeting time?
Are there any city council meetings in March besides the one on Tuesday?
I don't think so. I guess we could ask for a special meeting, but
I mean, we can do it as long as we have 48 hours, but. And if you're borrowing me for 5 minutes to go, hey, I can probably swing that, but that's putting us at Friday morning, and I don't know what cutoff time. I think you're supposed to post, what, 10 a.m.?
Not to mention time to read it.
I would prefer something next week or the week after. I mean, I think if we could even get a special meeting as late as the week of the 18th, well, that would still give everybody plenty of time to get, I mean, council would have to have a special meeting as well, but should be short and sweet. I'm sure they can always add more things to theirs if they really needed to.
So do we want to look at the week of the 18th?
It's fine with me.
You have your calendar. Would you like to make a suggestion?
Do you want to do Monday the 18th at 5 p.m.?
That would work for me. Clint? Right. So, we will work toward a special meeting on the 18th at 5:30.
yes, sir.
Okay.
5:30 or 5 p.m. Either way's fine. I don't care.
Can you be here at 5?
If you remind me.
That's what Clint said too. We're all in trouble if you're relying on me. Why don't we do 5:30?
Okay, sweet. 5:30, Monday the 18th.
Clint's gonna have to come from Calera, so
Okay.
let's do 5:30. If that's all right with everybody. Panker's hours. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, we'll set that.
Okay. Thanks a bunch, y'all.
So, are you through with that item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so to address the fact that so last meeting we proposed certain dates for planning meetings, additional meetings. Those are not on this agenda. Is that still something that we can address?
I don't think we can do a formal vote, but we can address that we've tentatively set a schedule.
We could add that to our special meeting on the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Could you check with Susan to see if she's able to do the meeting on the 18th? If not, we can maybe do another special on
Okay.
the 26th or 27th, whatever day that was.
Yeah, I think it's currently 26th at 5 or 5:30.
So we'll need to publish that as a special. But if you would check with Susan, see if she would.
That
Okay.
meeting's
accommodate.
video though, correct?
It is, but
Okay,
it would be
that's what I
better
just
to
want to
have
make
it
sure.
on too.
Okay.
Why do we need Susan for the 18th?
Just so we don't have another meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Would you like to keep it to, is it 26th or 27th?
I think it's the 26th at
Thanks.
5 something. I just put it in the email, but
You prefer to keep it as is?
no, I'm all about having one meeting instead of two meetings,
Okay.
so that's totally fine with me. I just
Okay.
was confused what we were trying to do.
When I'd spoken to her about original availability, it had been like the 20th to the 27th, but I will double check and see.
If you don't mind, just ask.
Yeah,
Understand.
yeah.
And if not, please publish for a special meeting on the 26th so that we can continue. And if you would, please make sure that the other dates are on the agenda next month.
Yes, sir.
Any other new business or discussion? Do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call for a vote, please.
Whitney Kerr,
Aye.
Clinton Horner,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Drew Jackson.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.